According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you remember the triangle that we all looked at in education school, on the bottom is physiological needs, things like food and water and shelter and clothing. Next, after physiological needs, is a need for safety. After that, all of the other needs come into play. The need for having a self-worth, the need for love and belonging, the need for self-actualization. All of those come after the need for safety. Creating boundaries and limitations is a real tangible need a student cannot learn if they do not feel safe. Part of the teacher's role in the classroom is as protector, and it's also in loco parentis, which means that in the absence of the parent, it is our responsibility to teach the child to be respectful and responsible. If they don't know how to do that, or if they do know better and they're being irresponsible and disrespectful or not safe anyways, then we can apply a consequence. The kids need to know that you will not tolerate disruptions. That is something that we need to absolutely fight for in the classroom. They will not trust us. They will not take us seriously unless we have boundaries and limitations. I believe that one of the major roadblocks to having really good classroom management is a level of trust that the students have for the teacher. Do the students trust me? Do they know they can depend on me? Am I consistent? Do I create procedures and routines and structure that the students can count on? It's the same every day. It's dependable. It's repetitive. It helps to communicate that your classroom's a safe place, a fun place to be. It's worth your time. Placing responsibility on the student. This is what I expect. Here's how you can succeed in this class. I will hold you accountable, and everyone else in here. That's a big part of it. My number one job is to keep you safe. This is something that I tell my kids every year, probably middle school on up, that I consider safety to be the first priority in an art classroom. And if I see a student who is not following a safety rule or who is endangering himself or anyone else, I will step in, and I'm not worried about my relationship with that student in that moment in time. I will risk that relationship in order to keep that student and other students safe. For example, last year I had a 3K class and a 4K class, and one of those preschool students had some real struggles in the morning when Mama would drop him off. And one day he was really upset, literally ran. I had opened the door, I was doing morning carpool, I had opened the door to welcome another student into the building, and this little preschooler started to run towards the door. He was really upset, he was crying, and I didn't even think. I just physically grabbed him up so that he could not run out into the parking lot. And he fought me. He was kicking, he was screaming for his mom. But at that point, I wasn't worried about being nice. I wasn't worried about him liking me. All I was concerned about was his safety. And he did eventually calm down and he was fine. Another example, this is a high school example. We were spray painting one afternoon, and I had set up some really clear parameters for the students, and we practiced this. And I demonstrated it, and they practiced it while I was watching, and I was only allowing a few of them to spray paint at a time so that I could observe and make sure that they were being safe. One of these students, this was an 11th grader, a junior in high school, was not following my safety procedures. He was just kind of nonchalantly spray painting, and the cloud was just kind of enveloping him, this cloud of spray paint dust. And I verbally told him to move. And his response was not to move out of that cloud. His response was to say, nah, I'm good. So I had to step in. I had to raise my voice again, use my teacher voice, and instruct him to stop. I had to make everyone stop. I pulled him aside and just told him, because you were not paying attention to me, you made this choice to ignore the instruction, I'm going to just sit you out. You cannot use spray paint. And that kid, it hurt his feelings. He was extremely offended, and the rest of the year we struggled, myself and this child. Which, sometimes you have to do that. You have to make a choice, safety or the relationship. And I tell my students this story every year to try to hit home Your safety, your physical safety is so important to me. A lack of student trust is quite possibly at the core of many classroom management issues. We lose students' trust and respect when we get visibly frustrated or angry, take their behavior personally, being reactive instead of proactive. We also lose trust and respect when we get complacent, failing to hold students accountable for their behavior, ignoring it, turning a blind eye, or for not setting high academic standards. We also lose trust when we're not consistent or when we're not crystal clear about our expectations. Are we sending mixed messages? How do you trust a teacher who's being confusing? How do you trust a teacher who's breaking promises?